I'm not ready yet, Leon. Ah, but you can have my face. Yeah, man. Oh, I've been hastily grabbing some food because today's just been chaos. Oh my, hello. You're used to doing the streaming thing, aren't you, Leon? How'd you deal with this, being ready on time? Right, ZBrush. Nino Cooney. That sounds, obscure. What is that? We got 5 viewers here. Shit. Here's me just jamming food into my face and 5 people are watching me. Bullshit. You all just turned up again. Why am I watching this loser eat? You're watching this loser eat because he's not had enough time to get his shit together today. It doesn't sound like there's enough shooting in that, but I love Studio Ghibli, so maybe. We'll be streaming that at some point then. Right. Grab my little whack on. So I made a bunch of progress last week. This was 3 hours worth of work. My plan for today, I want to give each of these goblins a little look of their own and make them a little bit more individual. This guy I think needs a knife, so I'd like to jump in and spend a little bit of time sculpting a knife. I was looking in the chat. You've been playing that game for 65 hours. Like, not straight, I'm assuming. I've got my tea. A very topical mug today, considering it was the Tory conference. Man, I'll check the game out. It's amazing that this cup is it's probably less than a year old. And it's now incredibly out of date. Whole new bunch of people are arseholes. Hi, Emily Alice 0902. So, yeah, I wanted to jump in. I want to do a little dagger for this guy because I think meeting a mysterious stranger in the street that you then realize is just 3 goblins in a trench coat. I think that part of that realization would be being jabbed with a poking knife. We'll do that. So, where to start? Hi, Kamojin 1978. You've hung out with us before. Hey, Jazz Barker, I know who that is. Right, let me see here. We should have no funky audio today. Oh shit, I'm fully branded. Gotta love repping your own merch. Right, let me see here. I'm all of a tiz. I think we'll start with a little bit of hard surface today. And by hard surface, I mean my version of hard surface, which isn't actually hard surface. It's something entirely different. But I'm going to grab a little dagger. So I'm going to hide all this stuff for now. I'm going to start from scratch on this one. I want to insert a brand new subject. Smooth. So let's grab that and come down to initialize. It's not what I wanted to do. It's that one. There's a very cool trick you can do here. Let's grab the cube. Move down to initialize. Here we go. And I can mess around with, I'm going to increase my horizontal, my vertical divide. So what this does, I'm actually selecting the input subtool, and I can play around with it. So I'm increasing the geometry, and I can tweak around. I actually don't think I want a cube. Yeah, I'll stick with this plan. I know where I'm going with my head on this one. You can actually tweak around with things. What this is really nice for is for doing shit like this. And then you can import that. But I'm not going to be using any of that right now. So I'm going to skip it. Come back to this one. Oh my god, I'm so pro at this. Completely screwed that pooch, haven't I? There we go. I found it again. So let's start off with the dagger. Now I'm going to be using a lot of Boolean actions for this, so I'm going to tidy up here first, because Booleans can get a little messy because you're chucking in lots of different shapes all at once. Let's call this one heads. And I'm just going to drag all my goblin heads into there. So look at this. This is neat working. Excellent. I'm going to insert a cube. So, dagger time. I'm not worried about scale too much just yet, so I'm just going to have at it and just start playing around. Oh. I'm going to have to take little brief sojourns so I can have a little eat. Now, one of the things that I do really like about ZBrush is it lets you do hard surface-ish modeling without doing hard surface. Now, if you want to, you can come in and I can turn on my Z modeler tool, which gives me truckloads of actual sort of hard surface modeling options. But I'm not super comfortable with that yet. It's not where I live. So I'm going to be using Trim Dynamic quite a bit. I'm going to be using my H polish extensively. And I'm going to be using a lot of Boolean actions. So we will get started with this. That has been put into heats, hasn't it? So let's pop that out of there and just have him sat at the bottom. Close that, get nice and neat. Right. What a chaotic start. How is everyone doing today? The weather is absolute bullshit. It's ridiculous. Yeah, my first moves with doing something like this, I'm just going to block out forms. Make this like a little kid's wooden dagger. Just a lot of duplicating and moving things around. So those of you who were looking at earlier chats, I was chatting with Leon, who's a friend of mine who works in what is proper special effects. Now, what we do is mostly art department stuff. We borderline makeup department, creature department. We have our own departments, but he does what is traditionally special effects, so explosions and fire and smoke and all of that jazz. And he's very good at it. I mean, I don't know that he's very good at it. He tells me he's very good at it. He tells me he's very good at a lot of things. There we go, finished it. Done. Nailed it. What a dagger. This is me just mapping things out so I get a nice feel for how things are kind of sit. I want this to be a little bit janky, so we are going to do some sculpting in there later on. But right now I'm going to be using a lot of words escape me. Boolean tools. And what a Boolean is, it's essentially any shape interacting with another shape, and how those shapes interact. That is a Boolean. In ZBrush we can do some really cool, funky, powerful things with Booleans. So my first job here really is to kind of figure out the profile of this blade. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn Live Boolean on. Got my initial tool up here, and then I've got my Boolean tool that is here, and now it's going to be invisible. But as I do this, I can slice through. How symmetry affects that? Symmetry, it doesn't play in, but I can fix that later. So I just want to find myself a nice. Ooh, symmetry did not enjoy being on there. Stretch that out a little. And I can duplicate. In fact, what I will do. So this tool is still here. It's still being effective. It's still floating around. It's just that the computer is telling it to remove stuff. Yeah, I was talking about you. Yes, but you're far more handsome, so you know life rewards us in different ways, Leon. I've only been ZBrushing for about 2 or 3 years now. I can't remember exactly because the first year was all sadness and tears. I'm gonna do what's content center measure. A modified topology. This modified topology mirror and weld is one of my go-to tools. I use it all the time, and what I can do, I can mirror it across multiple axes. I'm just going to pop that one on for now and see. No, that had an absolute shit fit. So let's turn Live Boolean off for a second. Now that's because I'm in such a weird profile. I built this stupidly, guys. Allow me to go back and fix all of the things that I've made absolute bullshit. I started this in a side profile. I suppose I could just switch my axes of symmetry. Let's do that. ZBrush is terrible. I don't know if you guys can see this, but these tiny little letters that I'm tapping are new buttons. There we go. That's what I wanted. You can tell that I'm not super ace at hard surface stuff. Now if I come back and put my subtool back on, my Boolean one, what it should do is disappear. There we go. So I've got a nice little edge to my blade now. And I was going to say very quickly and fairly effortlessly, but it was quite a lot of effort and it was pretty fucking slow. Feels like today is going to be one of those fight days. We talked about this a little bit in class this week. Some days sculpture is so fucking easy. You sit in front of the thing and you just move clay or digital or pixels or polys around, and you're essentially just stripping away what you don't need, and the thing that you were looking for is there. You do a little dig and you find the thing. Some days it's way less fun than that. Let's do a mirror mold across my... Yeah, it's across the Y, I think. That's what I'm going to do. Let's do this old school. We will duplicate it. We will come down to deformation. And we will hit mirror. That's what I want. And now I've got that nice little profile on my blade. It's not quite sharp at the edges, so I'm going to Control Z that. Move that in a smidge. Oh, there's one there. That's where that one went. My current setup at home is not quite right. I can't get my keyboard positioning correct. Let me see. I want to duplicate it. Come into my geometry. Undo. No. Come into my deformation. Do a mirror. I'm just going to move these. That's probably about right. Now I have both of these tools doing a thing. Merge those down. This is such a backwards ass way of doing this. It's like, oh, I'll do some booleans. I mean, you can see we're kind of getting there now. When I want to make that a thing, I'm going to come down here to boolean and make boolean mesh, and that will give me a nice little tool to import. There we go. I'll hide both of those for now. I want to get some angles across the top. Camojin 1978. Wednesday was my fight day. Yeah, some days just kick out. Like, they just absolutely take it out of you. I've sat and kind of been forcing myself to sculpt, and it's been for jobs, and you know you've got a deadline, and you just get utterly rinsed. And there's nothing you can do about it. You just need to be accepting of the fact that this shit is going to kick your ass. So can I reuse this? Can't reuse that in any way, shape or form. So I'm going to delete that. Yeah, so yeah, some days just really kick ass. And the only real answer, the only real solution for it is just to do it, just to kind of sit and fight and push through, because, you know, unless you can figure out some kind of magical solution, the only real response is to do the thing. That was the wrong one to move. All right, let's see whether I can get the tip of this blade at a nice angle as well. So I don't need quite so much tool to play with. I mean, once you get your head around booleans, they are actually quite nice and incredibly powerful. And it's such a nice word to say as well. No. I'm going to turn my boolean on this one. That's this guy, drop him below. And you can see there that as I then move this into position, I'm able to kind of like hack through stuff. I'm going to do a quick Dynamesh on that. I think my geometry is a little wild, so I'm going to do a quick Dynamesh. Dynamesh is something that should be happening all the time. It's a poor form of me to have a subtool kind of in action and not have Dynamesh selected or activated. How'd you get on the rest of Wednesday? Did you push that any further? Did you make it through? Did you feel like you survived? Or did it make you want to never do ZBrush again? I think I need to do two things here. Right, I'm getting myself all about face. I want this to be quite a stumpy knife, like quite not very prettily designed, I think is the... I mean, Gobbos might be great artists, but they don't strike me as the type that would, or artisans, they don't strike me as the type that would spend a lot of time finessing a blade. They just want a chunk of steel. I don't want to be in such a pressure. My brain is fried this week. Mirror mold across the X. I don't want to mirror mold it across the X, do I? Because I'm in the... You know what, I'm just going to turn all this shit around. Because it's absolutely throwing me off. Just switch that. 90. So that's square on. And then I'm going to grab this guy. Let's move him over here. And then rotate that 90 degrees. Get him back in play. Right, that's going to film. I feel like I should have done that right at the start. Let's try that again. That's my good angle. I'm going to do a little mirror mold. Seems to be having a bit of a kitten with that, and I think that might be intentional, and I'm just doing it wrong. So I'm going to duplicate, come down to deformation, mirror that across my X. That worked perfectly that time. And I can merge those two together. I'll leave them separate actually, so I can just have them act as... There we go. Ugh, that was agony, wasn't it? I mean, I felt how painful that was. That's right. That wasn't right at all. All right. So just need to put a little bit of an... Now, I can probably do this without booleans, but I like the crispness, and I am going to mess this up a little bit. Get into my brew before it gets tepid. Oh, you're all very quiet today. I'm assuming people have just logged in and then just gone, yeah, no, I'm not going to engage. I'm just going to sit and pretend that I'm watching. That's fine. That's your prerogative. I'll skip those. I'm going to make that as a boolean mesh. No, nope, that was a mistake because I want all this other shit to be hidden. And those guys can be redeployed now. I know why your hands are busy, Leon. That's because you're a filthy, filthy animal. It'll make you go blind, you know. I want to try and do here is kind of have that angles. That feels like if I repeat that a few times, I will be in the right place. So I'm going to do a duplicate down to mirror deformation. I'm going to mirror that first boy. It's going to get me that. Stick both of those together. Again, I am very, very new to hard surface, and it's something that I'm just kind of bludgeoning my way through. But I'm giving myself an hour for this one. I've got half an hour. Let's just check that I'm doing the right ones. I want to merge there. See, always double check, merge down. Okay, those two are good. Let's duplicate again. And then down into deformation again. Rinse and repeat, and we want to mirror across the Y this time. No, the Y. We want to mirror across the X this time, the Z this time. Z is the up and down. That looks like a horrendous, heinous mess. And I jump into my subtool now. Going to merge those down. Now they're all one subtool. I am going to dynamesh that because it's a car crash. Excellent. And now if I turn this on, it should be a dramatic reveal where, I mean, that was kind of disappointing. That's enough. I mean, that feels like a nice little goblin blade. I can tighten up that top bit and do the rest with sculpting. So all that's turned off. Last one, make Boolean mesh. I mean, I've gotten myself in a real tiz with Booleans today. I've not done a great job of explaining this, but I mean, some days are like that. Some days you're just on it. I mean, hopefully you guys who do attend my classes will see that I actually practice the things that I'm trying to talk about before going into a class. And hopefully that tracks. I'm going to delete that guy's one. He's useless. And what we've got is this really kind of, I'm kind of feeling kind of like stumpy goblin-y blade. Still going to work on this one. Now I'm going to kind of come in and use some of these tools. Geometry is okay. I forgot to turn my symmetry on. Now what's great about this is, like, if I start sculpting here, or I do whatever, my symmetry isn't turned on across all axes, because as standard your symmetry only is across that I want to say Z plane. If I hold Alt and tap symmetry here, I can turn symmetry on across other planes. So now I can see I've got 4 points of symmetry, which is great for shit like this. What I want to do is really want to soften that out. I think maybe a move first. Move is one of my favorites. Big moves. Big moves. It's a big move. I've lost all that crispness, but that crispness will come back. It probably would have been better just sculpting this properly. Alright. Edge polish is where I'm at here, and I'm just going to pull that crease back in a little bit and tidy up some. I don't want to spend a huge amount of time on this blade, but I do want it to feel like it's had some consideration. I mean, you can warn 5 people here and now, Leon. Wait, let me do a quick update. You can watch 4 people now. People have tuned in and fucked off. So there it is, kids. Best thing you're gonna learn today. Playing Ni no Kuni makes you blind. Just like masturbation. Which is honestly what I thought Leon was doing. Why are you not letting me select between subtools? I'm going to go back to sculpting my goblin in a minute because this is kicking my ass. Ooh, I did it that time straight. What the f... Sorry, they're my options. Tied up. Too much. Way too aggressive. Way too big. Actually feel a little bit better now that I'm doing some actual sculpture rather than messing around with techie stuff that is beyond me. Absolutely certain this is an inappropriate level of conversation to be having, Leon. But I'm aware that I may have encouraged that slightly, so that's where we're at. Scrub that move brush again and do some little tweaking on this. I mean, hopefully, whoop, let's get my symmetry sorted out. I mean, I really don't need to be spending this much time on this, but it's kind of... I mean, I assumed it would be more fun than it is. I'm not gonna lie. What's great about the symmetry menu as well, we can turn radial symmetry on and get this chaos going on. Which is kind of ace. I can drop my radial countdown down to 5. So 5 seems good. 5 seems like a very goblin-y type number. If I move in here, and grab my trim dynamic, grab a different brush. It's probably more effective on a... Oh, I've only got... What was radial symmetry turned on then? Ah, here it is. Yeah, I can show you something cool here. If I turn radial symmetry on, there's a quick dynamish. Just making an absolute mess of things. Let's turn radial symmetry back off, shall we? Tapping the wrong thing. Here it is. So, this is officially going down as my least successful session so far, because it's been utter trash. But I'm sure we can get back on track. I'm still very new to this world. It's all a little bit obscure, and I'm not even quite sure what I'm supposed to be doing on the old Twitch. There we go. This is where Trim Dynamic really comes into its own. It's such a nice brush. And if I want to tighten some of that up, I can grab my H polish, and what H polish does is it keeps flat planes flat, and then tries to kind of re-identify edges. So we can kind of redefine some stuff here as we go. I realise that I'm making all my comments about it being janky were just because it wasn't because I was trying to make a goblin knife. It's because I was shit at sculpting. Now that I'm in a place that I'm enjoying, I'm doing all sorts of fun angles. Okay, that pommel feels lovely now. I think I might be able to get more of that. Anyway, yeah, I'm not going to linger on this for too long. I gave myself an hour. I don't think I'm even going to spend that much time here, because I want to get back into my sculpture proper. But again, one of the things I love about ZBrush is it gives you that opportunity to kind of, you can put away all the other tools and it feels like a new project. You don't have that kind of burnout that I think happens with traditional sculpting, where you're kind of staring at the same thing. And yeah, I'm doing a separate thing for it, but this feels very, very different. I'm liking the look of this. Turn down the measure on here. This is going to be really low res anyway, and we're not going to see a lot, but I will kind of come in and do some kind of damage on this. And I think I've actually gone a bit too fancy with this. That feels like a nice little goblin dagger. You can see H polish doing that, all of that lovely work for me, and getting this square back up. Right, so I think I'm almost ready to start having a little bit of fun with this. I don't think it needs to be any more kind of, maybe it needs to be a smidge wider, that one. So I want to be able to chuck this back into my actual sculpture pretty quick. I'm going to grab my damn fine standard. I'm also going to get my clay brush with some alphas on the go. So, you don't like that, do you? Let's turn my symmetry off for this little section. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to work in some details. Now, alphas are super, super powerful. can't believe I finished my tea already. It always makes me sad when I realise that I have no more tea left. No more tea. Geometry. I'm gonna round that up a smidge. No, give me some more. That feels good. Ah! Anybody who's hanging out with me on this week will know what's happening here. We have got back face mask turned off. So I'll come into my brush. No, this is the dagger for the 3 goblin sculpts. We're going to be going back real soon. Auto masking, back face mask should be turned on all the time. Yeah, we're going to be back in there real soon, ever then. I just wanted to kind of throw in a little knife prop for me to kind of work on. I'm not going to spend ages messing around with this, but I'm just adding a little bit of surface texture to that. Quite nice as well, I think. This is just going to make it feel... I mean, I'm pretty sure that we're not going to see any of this. But it is always nice to kind of be able to kind of look at how quickly we can kind of make things look cool. Yeah, let me see here. I'm just going to add some noise to the rest of this, I think. Or to these sections anyway. To do that, I'm going to merge them both together. So back into my subtool menu, I can actually create a knife folder here as well, which I will do. New folder. Big ton. I'm trying to get into better habits when it comes to organizational stuff. So pommel and crossguard. Let's merge those two together. So they're both made out of the same thing. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to add some noise to this. It's a very quick way. In fact, I'm going to need to increase my geometry a little bit. Let's go up to about there. And again, this is probably not going to be noticeable when we get into the final thing. Bearing in mind that this thing's designed to be a mini. So it's going to be 22 mil tall. And I'm sculpting an element of that that's going to be like maybe this big. Not if it's going to be visible. But I want to do it, so we're going to go into a surface. Whatever, surface. There we go. And then we're going to grab some noise. Get this. I want to move that. Zoom it in. Strength is going to ramp a little. Too much. That feels good. Okay. Well, that's just giving me a little bit of surface texture, and then I can apply to mesh. And depending on how my mesh is set up, that should be fine. I do want to do some scratches and dinks in the blade as well. I do want to kind of get stroke. Lazy mouse. Talked about lazy mouse this week as well. It's one of my favourite little tricks. I'm just going to polish that out a little. I just wanted a little bit more definition there. Is that taking it? It's making it shit. So I'm not going to draw it in, I'm just going to use my alphas. Now they're drawing it out, so I want to switch that to Z sub. I just want some dinks on the edge of the blade, really. But that's enough for now. What I'm going to do for this, I'll leave everything like it is, but I'm going to use that Boolean tool again. And I'm going to hit make Boolean mesh, and because everything that it sees here has a smush me together job, it'll just make a solid version of this. I can leave everything in this folder then turned off. Hit insert. There we go, there's my Knife. And I've got that ready to rock and roll now, so that can close and I can start to turn all of my other bits and pieces on. So let's get back into this proper. I don't know what you're doing there, but let's go in trenchcoat, huh? That can be deleted. Oh, look at that, there's no goblin face turned on. There we go. So I'm gonna play around with this knife for a second or two. I'm within my limit for playing with this. Scrub it there. There it is. So I mean, if you can think about the scale of this thing, it's going to be fucking tiny. No one's going to see any of that lovely detail I did on it. But it's here. What I want to do here is I'll get this positioned. No. And I'm working asymmetrically for all of this bit, which is kind of feels kind of gross. I want him to just be, I mean, it's going to look like a dick, isn't it? Oh my goodness. What have I done? Maybe this isn't a great idea. You know when you have an idea and you're just kind of like, yeah, this is really cool. But look at it. I don't. Hey Oz, you just got here in time for us to make a little, is it a knife or is it a dick? What to do about this? I do not know. You know what? I'm gonna persevere. I'm gonna plow on regardless. I think anything I do to this now is gonna that's worse. That's a little bit sad. I think if it is a little closer to the body of the thing, it may be less kind of penisy, I guess. We'll take it off center. Yeah, I mean, feel free to comment on the appropriateness of this Pernis knife that's going on. I'm a smidge thicker as well. Right, so I mean that's positioned. It's time for me to start throwing around some arms. Again, most of my... Oh God, why can't I insert subtils today? Where did that one get placed? It's up here. Why did I keep my mirror off this? Oh, because I don't need it to go on the central plane, that's why. So I'm going to make myself a little hand for this. A little goblin hand. That feels appropriate in scale to the face. Yeah, I'm going to have to move all of this bit of clothing around, but that's no problem. We are still
and just blocking things out. I mean, we're at 4 hours into this sculpture, and I think being a blocking out stage is absolutely fine for this point. Goblins are real skinny arms, won't they? Let's do that. And that's all I really need for this. I'm not going to merge those two things together. I'm going to block out some stuff on this hand for now, I think. I might actually turn off some of the things so I can see what I'm doing here. Let's make sure Dynamesh is turned on for that stuff. It's not. I'm going to grab a first pass and just soften some of this out. I want a rough square for a hand, not a square. Hands and feet are always two things that people really struggle with, myself included. They're really complicated, and kind of unless you're into that shit, it's really difficult. I'm going to map out I think, fingers are going to do this sort of a thing. Yeah, so thumb is going to do that. I mean, this is jank, but yeah, I do Oz. And what I'm also going to be doing is, I mean, if I think they're good enough, I'll be releasing all of these. Any sculpture that I do in these sessions will be available to everybody. So I'm going to find somewhere to put it. I don't know how. I mean, I'm old. You guys know that. I don't know how the internet works properly, but I'll figure out somewhere to put them as a receptacle for you guys, and anything that I make here, people can download. I mean, one of my favorite things to do is I need to turn some shit off. There we go. This feels much nicer now. I'm not overwhelmed anymore. One of my favorite things to do kind of is little print and paint projects, and it's I talk to you like guys quite a bit about the importance of momentum in a project, and if you just want to print and paint some of this shit, I mean it's quite a lot. You have to pay quite a lot for models. So yeah, they'll all be available. I mean, I don't think there's a definitive D&D 3 Goblins in a trench coat model as well. So, maybe I'm filling a niche in the market here. I mean, that's assuming that this is going to be definitive, which I mean, that's a stretch, isn't it? Especially at this state. I'm hoping that I'll have at least 2 good days on this. I'm using my trim dynamic kind of like a spoke shave at the minute. I'm just kind of shaving form back. It's quite effective. What I like about trim dynamic is it keeps you in your planar discipline much better. I mean, that kind of feels nice. I mean, it's gross under here, but yeah. So just soften that out a little bit. And let's Twitch only hosts videos. Ooh. Thanks, Leon. I didn't know that Twitch only hosts videos for a little while. How long is a little while? Leon's a Twitch pro. If anybody doesn't know Leon already, he is a world record holding video game-ist. as well as being incredibly talented and handsome. You should check out his channel as well, all 4 of you. Are we still on 4? Let me check. Quick update. 5. We're back up to 5, guys. I'm not really interested in selling. I'm doing this for the love of making shit and hanging out with you guys. One of the reasons I've kind of done the Twitch kind of path is if my motivation is great when it's extrinsic. So when I've got external factors driving me. So I'm pretty good at meeting deadlines. I'm pretty good at, meeting client expectations. When I've got things to do for work, I kind of do all right with it. This is my cheeky way of kind of allowing me to do my practice, but whilst giving myself an extrinsic motivator, because I have to be here. I've said I will. This is a commitment that I've made. So it makes... I need to have a look at some actual anatomy here, guys. Yeah, this is part of my process now. That's the top of the hand, so that can do that. That's going to be at that angle. Yeah, I need a little bit less of that. That's more like it. Yeah, so I'm not in it for the dollars, Oz. I never was. I mean, the Tories have seen to that. Not had an inflation matching pay rise in a decade. Yeah, so it's not about selling things. I just want to be able to have somewhere for you to go and find this shit. If I can make shit that people find useful, then I think my life is pretty great. If someone wants to say, "Hey, dude, you made a cool thing," that's what it's about. That's what I want to do. I need more geometry here. Man, isn't it? Like, I'll do anything to get out of my own work and my own practice sometimes. But if someone wants, if someone expects me to do something or asks for my help in some way, I will do, I'll do it. I'm just much better when other people want me to do shit. I think that is a part of... I think we're all a little bit like that. When it's for ourselves, we can put it off. It's much better to just sit on the sofa or, play some video games. Oh, somebody at my door. That's unusual.
Someone's at the front door doorbell.
Should we fuck them off, guys? Oh, my birthday's on the way, so it might be a problem. Definitely not for me. It was in a pink box. I mean, not that I don't get things in pink boxes, but I'm pretty sure that was for the boss. Alright, that's feeling relatively kind of there or thereabouts. I'm going to smash those 2 bits of foam together. I don't need them to be separate. I'm just sculpting my hand. Let's do a merge down. Yep, put down the mesh on that. Oh, thought it was on. Trim down on it then. Wondered why that was so aggressive. around it. This guy's got a epically fat little finger. Maybe that's a goblin trait. Thanks. I mean, I hope it works. It's an experiment. But I mean, all that really matters to me is getting better at this shit. I love it. I love being a maker. I think that those of us that get to spend our lives making are incredibly blessed. I mean, there's a lot wrong with it, but you know, being able to create things that people get joy out of, I think there's not enough emphasis on that in modern life. You know, if I can make some stupid goblin sculptures that you know that somebody loves, I mean, somebody's going to do that. Somebody's going to look at, you know, one day, maybe not now, but one day someone's going to look at my shit and go, "Fuck, that's so cool. I need that in my life." And like that. How many times have you looked at kind of like a piece of art, or like I've done it with minis in the past, or little models that I want, and I've looked at it and I've gone, "Fuck, I need that in my life. My life will be a richer, greater, better thing with that thing." Man, and if someone feels that way about my art, my making, yeah, that's the goal. I mean, that's the dream. All right, I'm calling that mapped. I mean, it's one of the things that I think is actually great about having ADHD is that your attention just goes, wanes, ebbs and flows, and if you can figure out ways to make that work for you, I mean, it looks less like a penis. I'm kind of all right with that. I can even, what I might do with this now is kind of twist it in a little bit. Yeah, I can now bounce around and work on some other bits and pieces. I kind of feel like my next move should just be to adjust this jacket. Jacket's currently got no asymmetry in it, which we might need to change a little now. I'm mulling that over in my head. Also, I'm going to produce two versions of this. I figured this one would be the easiest one to do first. I'm going to do a Mysterious Stranger version where his scarf's open, you can just see his eyes, and he actually looks like if you were playing D&D and you put it down, you'd be like, "Oh, that's a cool mini." And then the reveal of the three goblins in a trench coat, I think, will be super fun. All right, we're at the hour mark. It's nearly time for me to go get a top up on my brew. Right, let's have a little think about where I want to go next. What am I excited about? I'm going to jump into playing around with goblins, I think. Now, this guy is just a placeholder because what I'm going to need is symmetry. So I'm going to jump onto that one. Let's grab my heeds. That one. That one. That one. That one can stay disappeared, I think. Right, let's jump into this guy. We've been doing his head, so we might as well work on him a little bit. I need the teeth and eyes, so I have teeth and things. That's my top jaw, bottom jaw, so I'm going to duplicate some of these. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do a different thing. I'm going to do something totally different. I'm going to start this guy as if he's completely new. This is a great starting point for me. Let's turn off the trench coat, the belt, and just hang out with this guy. All right. I do want teeth and things open, and I do want it to be on. All right, so let's get back to this guy. This will be real fun. Here we go. My symmetry's turned off. Always worth checking. My symmetry's being silly. Where you at, symmetry? There it is. Why can't I see symmetry on here? Because I've not got the right subtool active. I'm an absolute bellend. ZBrush does that to you sometimes, guys. Never trust yourself. All right, let's do some moves on this guy because I want them to be slightly different. I am going to take a copy of those teeth. I've changed my mind. I'm not going to do that with the eyes, though. There we go. Slide those all the way down there, and then there was they're the same there. Oh, I just duplicated the same ones 3 times. I have, so let's delete those. Jump onto that, duplicate, move, and put those down by the bottom jaw. Now I can zoom into these. Now these are just proxies, but it gives me enough to kind of play with. That one to there, that one to there, so I'm a little bit more organised. Right, let's make this guy a nice, unique looking gobbo. These gobbos are all going to be from the same little gang, so they'll all look quite similar, but I do want them to look like individual guys. So this guy's going to have a slightly wider head. I'm going to give him a slightly bigger nose. I'm going to have to mask that off. Masking is holding control, paint in an area. As well, the nice thing about having placeholder pieces in, you can move very quickly and get a nice feel for kind of how things are going to look. Oh, that guy's got an underbite. Is that an overbite? That's an overbite. He is fucking delighted. Look at him. He's such a happy dude. Let's go. Let's get some eyeballs in place for this guy. Everyone's right quiet on the chat there. Shit in life is busy. I want this guy to look a little bit more manic, so I'm gonna have some slightly protruding, bulgy eyes. And let's go make sure that one is selected. Where have you gone? Screw it, I'll find you later. Geometry. Let's go. Oh, Z measure every time. Mirror Well's being super squirrely today. What am I doing wrong here? I'm ignoring it. It did this to me the other day. Mirror Well just started being an absolute bitch. Alright, where's that? It's in heads. Let's move that down to teaks and things. Alright, I'm going to duplicate. Go down to deformation. So I'm going to do this the jank way. I'm going to mirror. There we go. Got it. I'm kind of in my mind. These guys are like the hyenas from the Lion King. I can't do words today, and this is the really chittery, laughy one. That's why he's got the knife. So let's get those eyes feeling like real bulgy. And again, such a powerful tool being able to copy that original head. I've still got all those bits of form there. I don't need to go through that kind of painful exercise of kind of mapping out and refiguring out, you know, replacing things, because stuff's there. It's placed. It has a home already. It is already having a home. That feels like a cute little nose. Mesh turned on here. Wow, bro, do you even Dynamesh? Let's not. How's everyone's TV consumption been this week? I don't get to do a lot. I mean, my wife goes to bed at 9:30. Oh. I do, newly diagnosed. I mean, it's been long suspected by several of my friends and colleagues. Honestly, I think I was the only person it came as a real surprise to. Working digitally really does. And it's the speed at which I can work. I have a very kind of finite attention span. And when I'm doing art and, you know, creative things, I can tap into it for longer. I mean, I remember being in a class with Don Lanning, and he's if anybody, if you ever get the chance to hang out with him and be taught by him, he's a beautiful, generous teacher. He's so gracious and supportive. I can't sort of rave about him enough. But there was a kid in the class, and the kid was real nervous. I mean, we were all a little bit nervous. I mean, we were a bit starstruck, and you know, Don's an amazing sculptor. And the kid was like, "Hey, I've got ADHD, so I don't know how I'm going to cope being able to concentrate for kind of like 5 days in a row." And Don was like, "Hey, you're an X-Man. You're an X-Man, brother. That's a superpower. If you figure out how to tap into that, you know, you're an X-Man." And it was just such a kind way of doing it. And I'm much better at this stuff. I do feel like it, you know, having ADHD is a superpower when it comes to things like this, because I can focus, I can hyper focus. But I think kind of even then, I have a very there's always like a clock ticking down, and I'm very, very conscious of it. Working digitally allows me to get a lot more mileage, a lot I get a lot further, a lot faster. So that kind of triggers like a dopamine response. As I'm achieving things, I'm like, fuck, this is genuinely exciting. And it kind of keeps me on board. Also the ease in which it can be accessed. Like if I want to do a traditional clay sculpture, I've got to prep for it. I've got to work for it. You know, it's almost kind of like the process and practice itself is much harder to kind of start. Whereas a digital sculpture, I can just fire up my computer and even if I just tinker for 5 minutes, I don't have to tidy up afterwards. And there's a lot of benefits to working digitally. But I think the big thing about it is working digitally has made me a much better practical sculptor, because all these moves, all the being a sculptor is no different digitally than it is practically. It's just a different tool. So all these moves that I'm doing are completely appropriate for traditional sculpture. So yeah, I mean, I think I went on a tangent there. I could definitely got a little bit lost. Thanks, Leon. I don't think so. I'm much better than I was. I wasn't a bad illustrator at first. I do very little drawing now. I think again, with anything, even things that you're good at, if you don't practice it, if you don't do more and more and more of it, you become stale. You become stagnant, and you don't get better, and you don't improve. And I think that's when we lose our joy for things as well. It becomes harder. It's very easy to do something a lot if you're good at it. If you're good at a thing, you're going to be like, oh shit, I want to do more of this because I'm fucking ace at it. And I think the more confident we become with our sculpture or our practice or whatever it is that we're trying to do more of, it becomes much easier to do when we feel like we're achieving things. And I think working digitally helps me achieve things. Let's do a little pan out and we'll see the difference between our two little gobbos now. Yeah, he definitely feels like an absolute sociopath. Look at him. Crazy. I'm going to move this brow around a little bit because I want to kind of introduce a little bit more difference. That was an awesome question. I think I'm very fortunate in that my job allows me or forces me to think about these things a lot more than I think I would normally. Because when you're trying to teach anything, you need to be able to explain it. And I think one of the things that I'm very conscious of doing is talking about how our sort of mental health is affected by our practice and how we can use our practice to help our mental health. And oh shit, where did that go? There we go. Let's bring it back. All right, so this guy's got a nice feel to him. And at this point, I'm going to be making changes to virtually everything, but because I've got that. I mean, this is a really nice example of that digital practical thing. If I wanted to do this in real life, I'd have to take a little mold and then do a clay pull. And then from that clay pull, I can then start to make duplicates that I can sculpt into and edit. Whereas, I just hit one button, duplicate, moved it around. These cheekbones feel horrendous to me. Just try and tighten them back up a little bit. They just protrude a little far. Yeah, like getting through the barrier of learning the tools is agony. It really is, and I can't emphasize enough that I'm 3 years into this, and it's only really kind of in the last year that I've felt like, oh, I kind of get this now. But it's something you just got to work at. It's like, you get given a hammer. You can only use a hammer in you know, a few ways. It's a very, very simple tool. The more complicated your tool is, the more time it takes to become comfortable using that tool. I mean, you know, moving on from the hammer analogy, you know, if you grab a saw, you know, a sort of carpenter's saw is very different from a kind of like a Japanese handsaw. And you give me a Japanese handsaw and I can cut a piece of wood up with it. You give, you know, a carpentry master something like that, and they can, you know, they can make incredibly beautiful joints that kind of dovetail together, that look like magic. And I think that's the big difference. It's just, you know, the more comfortable you are with the tool, the more you can kind of be creative with it. And I think ZBrush is one of those. It feels a bit obscure and it feels a bit obtuse, especially if you're coming at it from a practical kind of mindset. You know, clay should be easy. You know, you know, you got a blob of mud in front of you, and you push it and pull it and tweak it and poke it with sticks until it's the right shape. This principle is the same. It's just that your sticks are not called sticks. They're called booleans, or they're called, I mean, IMM army curve. You know, that's, you know, we just have different sticks. And I think one of the hardest things about, oh, fucking back face mask, god damn it. Sorry. Let's track back through the history there. I mentioned backface mask earlier. Backface mask is an absolute pig. It should be turned on as standard in my mind. What it does when you're kind of working with polys, they have a front and a back. And the tool says, I've got to see this, front, back. The tool says, bring the front to me. So it does that. Yeah? But if you have your polys like this, so you've got a front all the way over, and then the back is on the inside, and the tool's over here, and it says pull these tools to me, it goes like that. And then eventually this does this, and your back's in front of your front, and nobody wants your back to be in front of your front. That'd be fucking horrendous. So yeah, back face mask, especially working on thin things, always be ready to just turn that shit off. Or on. Click the button. I'm gonna go back now. Yeah, I'm fine with that being. I don't mind doing things again. It's just better. It's more rehearsal time. And that's, I mean, all our practice is rehearsal. We just, you know, you go in, you tweak, you push, you pull, you learn the moves, you learn the shorthand, you fire those kind of neurons in your brain. I didn't know this. The more you fire two neurons, the better the bridge between them becomes. This was a revelation to me. So this explains why, you know, practice works. The more you do something, the easier it is to do, because you're constantly firing those neurons, and the bridge between them gets stronger and better, more efficient. I kind of talked about this previously with some of my students in regards to kind of mental health. You can train yourself to be kind of more efficient or kind of better disciplined. That's all. In fact, all discipline is. It's just training yourself to do the shit when your brain's telling you it doesn't want to. But for kind of processes like this, if you break something, if something breaks and you need to restart, then it's just another chance to practice. It's another chance to kind of build those sort of neuron relationships. Yeah, Oz. I mean, there is no remedy for getting over that hump other than just sitting and doing. And again, I think the digital stuff is much easier to get on with. You know, oh god, that fucking browser's a mess, isn't it? It's actually kind of, because it's a little bit more accessible. It makes it easier for us to just jump in. So, I mean, I've lost my like, I can't get over the fact that this has gone so fucking awry. Let me just mask off this little bit. We'll just move it the fuck out of the way. Thanks, Everson. No idea what bit you were talking about because I've been nattering for a little while now. I'm not sure whether the "you should be a teacher" thing is ironic because I am, or whether it, yeah. Yesterday was my ADHD assessment. Grats, set off early, but 45 minutes. Ooh. Oh, that's rough. I mean, I think being able to get to your assessment is a huge part of the assessment. I mean, I'm pretty sure they track that shit. I was 2 hours early because I set off super early. I ended up kind of sitting in the Costa across from the place, so I had a cup of tea that cost me like £7 or something stupid. And at that point, I was an hour early, and I was like, I might as well just go in. So I was just sat around waiting for an hour because I was so anxious about not being on time. I think I definitely went the other way when it comes to timekeeping and my ADHD. Because I'm so anxious about being on time, I'm early everywhere. I'm so used to just sitting and waiting for people for an hour. That's pretty standard. Yeah, it sucks. I'm sorry that you felt so defeated. That's horrendous, man. I mean, it was a weird experience, mine, because I genuinely, like when the lady was like, "Yep, 100%," and I mean, I think I scored 9 out of 1 and 8 or 7 out of 9 in another category. I was a little bit surprised. I know, it rocked me a little bit, and it's taken me a couple of weeks to kind of get my head around the fact that this is an actual thing. But I kind of, again, that relief that you speak of, it is a real thing. It's kind of like, oh shit. I mean, I've done all of this in spite of this diagnosis, and I wouldn't be too worried about it kind of like having a bit of a kick in on the day. It'll come back in time, and I think that relief will be there. Oh, where am I up to with this guy? He's feeling kind of nice. God, we've been talking about some real deep shit today. It's like therapy. Yeah, I mean, Google Maps has made life much easier, but shit happens on the road. It's why I'm often so very early. I went through this in my head, kind of like I did like a little logical breakdown beforehand because I was so anxious about being late. I was like, you know what? They're running an ADHD clinic. Those fuckers should expect this shit. I wouldn't have been surprised if I turned up to my appointment and they'd gone, oh, we just tell everyone that their appointment is half an hour earlier than it is so that people actually turn up on time. Because, I mean, that's definitely what I would do. I'd do that to my wife. She doesn't have ADHD. She's just from an Irish family who, have very lax. Well, I don't think relaxed, I think, is the best way of approaching this. Approach to timekeeping. And it kind of triggers me real hard, actually. I remember going to a wedding, and the wedding was supposed to start at 1, and everybody was just still hanging out outside the church at like 1:20. I'm like, should we not all be inside? Should we not guys, we need to go inside because 20 minutes it's gonna, and they're all like, oh, I'll be sure, go relax. Yep. Very, very different approach to timekeeping. I mean, I kind of dig it. It's super relaxed, super chill. Everyone was happy, apart from me because I was so panicky. I'm getting a bit too into this now. I don't need this much detail, but and not at this stage anyway. I just want to kind of my job for this hour was to differentiate between the three, and I've only done one. All right, only half an hour though, so I mean, he definitely feels a little bit different. So I'm going to straighten this guy up. Not in that way, not in like a Christian camp, because that's not cool. I'm not sure how I managed to straighten. Oh fuck, mirror and weld isn't working, is it? Let's see whether we can get it to do a thing. Geometry. Oh, it did it. I've just, if you ever lose symmetry, just hit mirror and weld. Get it close. I mean, here's the thing, guys. I'm not sculpting this to be made into a mini. I'm sculpting this for a fun little, you know, digital sculpture of 3 goblins in a trench coat. One of the added side effects will be the fact that, you know, we can make it into a mini. I'm going to put as much detail as I have energy in my body for, or my brain. The way I approach things like this is I'll kind of work in passes. So I'm just going to bop everything back on for a second so I can talk through this. So at this point, kind of right here, I would say that I'm fairly well blocked out. I've not made a decision. I'd quite like to have some mittens on strings because I think it'd be funny. But most of my big moves are there and they've been decided. Oh God, look how much better he looks. He looks like an absolute psychopath. So this will be my first pass. Once I've tidied up this middle goblin, then I'm going to work my way through all of those subtools again. And I'm going to start adding sort of tertiary forms and kind of blending things together and little incidental details. And then another pass where I'm going to come in and I'm going to put stitching detail on the jacket because I want to get better at that. Will that translate into a mini print? Absolutely not. You know, they're printed out at 28mm is hero size for Dungeons and Dragons. It's way too much detail. But I'm not doing it for the end result. I'm doing it for the practice. The end result is a bonus. So I mean, I could probably stop at this level of detail for a lot of things. I mean, even across the jacket, there's not, you know, I could push it further. And some things, you know, like the scarf. If I came into the scarf now and just went, thought about it for a little bit, went into surface, noise, and then just bumped the noise on it. Just play around with some of these settings a little. No, wrong way. Too far. I mean, that's probably enough. Yeah? Apply to mesh. I mean, I needed a little bit more on my mesh, but, you know, that's probably enough for that. But I'm going to go in and I'm going to do some more because it's fun, because sculpting shit is ace. Right, I want this guy to have this. So I'm going to turn this back off and jump back on this guy. Steve keep some things on. Let's jump into teeth and things and grab some teeth again. Do that, duplicate, move those, and they're further forward, aren't they? So let's just get those positioned. Oh, he's moved. Oh, this is where symmetry and shit comes into play. Let me just do a thing. Transform. There we go. He was off center. He was asymmetrical. So that's always a little trick, nice little trick. Transform, S pivot, and it'll snap to the snap whatever it is you're working on to the central point. here. Oh, did I not? I did duplicate. Oh. Let's duplicate those ones, slide them down so that they'll be. We've got some teeth in there. Let's, I might as well do a copy of the eyes as well. Look at this. Whee. So I got all my information here where I need it to be. My bag's saying. Let's do a little number check. 4. We lost people. Ah, well. It's not about the numbers, is it? It's about just hanging out and doing shit, like I said. Spotting some asymmetry here, but I'm not overly fussed just yet. Not with the eyes. If I wanted to, I'm pretty sure I could snap those back to the center again and then reposition. There they are. Or I'll completely lose them. Where did you go? Oh, like an absolute penis. There we go. Let's do this guy's eyes too close together. Why is it too obvious then that I've gone? I don't know. No better reason at all, mate. I mean, what's the point doing anything if it's not fun? This is an absolute shit show of anatomy over here. We'll fix all that now, though. Something is slightly off with my symmetry, and I'm not sure what it is. I'm just going to hit an S pivot on this again, and then bring him back down. That feels better. So something had moved a smidge. And that happens. I can see I've got a bit of noise here, but I'm re-sculpting. Always keeping an eye on your symmetry, guys, because it will come back to bite you in the butt at some point. There's some wildness going on here. Nothing that can't be fixed with a Dynamesh, I don't think. Ooh, too much, go back. Put some back face mask on before we do any. Oh, it's already on. Good. I don't know why I'm sculpting the ears, because these are going to be hidden inside the jacket. Right, let's have a little go at this guy. I'm gonna go and get another cup of tea in a minute. I think it's time. I think I deserve it. Let's get this. Let's get some of this form tightened up first, shall we? There's an unbridging form now. I've not got an orbital socket, but I think that was throwing me off. Fill in some of that form now. I'm gonna have this guy with his mouth closed actually, I think. Gotta pick the right teeth to delete now. Like that. Delete. Okay. Oh, yeah, what am I doing? Grab that lasso. Let me do this. Select the correct subtool. Better. Soften that out. Invert. Move. I'm just gonna. And there's going to be a lot of geometry smashing into things here, but I think Dynamesh will fix 90% of that. And bits like this we can just smooth out. There's some crunchy geometry there, but a couple of smooth passes and a couple of Dynameshes and we're back to something reasonable. Let's do. Right, I think I'm nearly ready to take a break here. I'm going to push it 12 more minutes because I said I was going to do another hour. But, I mean, we've got 3 quite unique looking goblins now. This guy needs a bit more something, and I don't know what it is. So I'm just going to do some big aggressive moves and see what happens. And that's it. That's all he needed. Look at that. Much better. I mean, geometry speaking, it's. I mean, no, it's kind of alright. Still not happy around these eyes. I think some of this is kind of me relying on moves that kind of work for me and not looking at reference material enough. One of my worst habits, absolute worst habits. I preach this so hard. Develop this habit. Get good at reference. If you get good at reference, then your life will be much easier and much happier, and your art will be much better. too cute now. I can fix that. I'm going to pop in and start moving some. Because he's still very, very blurry. Gone quiet. You can tell I'm getting tired. Who's been watching what on telly recently? Anything good to watch? I've been watching House of the Dragon and Lord of the Rings. I've had to take a little break on Lord of the Rings because I can't cope with the weekly waits, and I've got a couple of House of the Dragons in the bank. Both are very good. I kind of got obsessed with the internet's backlash and reaction to Lord of the Rings for a little while. So it kind of flavoured my internet. I was getting a lot of kind of Ben Shapiro popping up and Jordan Peterson because I was like, why are people getting so upset about Lord of the Rings? So I watched a few videos of people being upset about Lord of the Rings, and now the internet thinks that I like the same things that they like. For All Mankind Severed, I mean, I'm not even aware of those, mate. I love getting other people's opinions on shit because it means, I mean, not just TV. Always get other people's opinions on shit. Everything, if you can. Have you Bullet Train? I've heard good things about that. I mean, Brad Pitt is just incredible value, and especially now that he's kind of taken on a lot lighter role. He just seems to kind of be really enjoying messing around. He was brilliant in the Channing Tatum, Sandra Bullock movie. Can't remember what it was called. Someone help me out. Right, I think I got 3 nice, interesting, unique little goblins there. Let's pop all of the stuff back on and see how they sit. So I need to move this guy out a little bit, which means I need to readjust his eyes. That's not such. Oh, I got selected. He moved. I love him sticking that far out. I mean, we can fix his ears and stuff later. I'm gonna do that once I've gone. Let's grab his eyes. It's going to be his eyes are in teeth and things. Those ones. What a dick. Pop him back. Lost City. It was Lost City, and it was excellent. If anyone's not watched Lost City, I mean, I fucking love Channing Tatum. He's brilliant. All right, so it feels like we've not done a lot. This is kind of where we started, but we've now got 3 distinct little gobbo faces, and we've got a little knife sticking out, and it doesn't look like a penis anymore, which is great. I mean, that's 90% of my sculpting life is trying to make things that I've accidentally made look like a penis, not look like a penis. I'm going to go and brew up. Back in a sec. Are you doing all right?
Yeah, I've been out there. I'm just trying to get some
Ah, okay.
Harry Potter Lego last time I was there. Yeah, sure. And I have returned. It's getting chilly in here, so I'll grab a jumper. I need to get better at sitting. Right, where are we up to? Alright, I think this feels kind of nice now. So I definitely do want to go in and play around with these guys and do a little bit more work, but I think form-wise, they are, you know, on their way. Let's get this. That's the right tool. I don't want to turn asymmetry off just yet, but I can build up to this a little bit here. Maybe that does want to creep out of the center a little bit. Re-up to my brew. Who's still around? I think we've only got, I think we're down to 3. Three people. I mean, 3 people is just fine. I love this guy. This guy's so ace. He definitely, I think I actually might want to change the scale of his head and make his head a little smaller, but I can do that later. Let me see, move this hand. I'll move you over a little bit. So that's going to be a weird arm bend, so we'll do it like that. Like he's poking out. And put a little twist on it. And then we'll grab the knife and do the same. I'll have to fix that, but that feels a little nicer. Let's take a step back and have a look at that. Perfect. I mean, perfect. Is anything ever perfect? Hinted some shoulders here. I like to keep symmetry on for as long as possible because it halves my workload. Even though I have to I'll have to resculpt some stuff on this side as I want the creases to kind of impact properly. some lovely fabric crease tools that I got from Sean Forsyth. Really good YouTube channel. If anybody's trying to learn a little bit more about ZBrush, he's very, very good. I think I mentioned him last week. Why would pockets even face in that direction, you absolute idiot? And a bunch of my time is just spent mapping in ideas that I like the thought and the feel of. I'm going to switch over my smooth brush as well. A nice little tip for folks. If you come into your Lightbox, there's a whole new section of brushes, including some different smooths. Smooth Stronger is a beast. Love that guy. It's smooth, but stronger. I'm kind of at that point now with this where kind of we were talking before about attention spans, and because I'm hitting a point of reduced returns. Like that first stage of sculpture is so fast and kind of energetic that you kind of, when you get to sort of points where you're trying to finesse and kind of, you know, push things a little further, that's when I really start to suffer. Oh, that's the wrong move. Twice. Things become slightly harder and require. This is where discipline is, you know, something that I'm very envious of people that have it. And sometimes it's just time to admit that it's time. I've got everything I want mapped out here. I'm going to tidy up when I'm going to reposition these heads. I can come in and resculpt if I want to. In fact, I'm going to start to get my final forms in place. Let's jump in here, turn some of the stuff off. Not the teeth and things, leave heads. Oh, that's fine for now. He's got a belt hat. Look at that little floating bit of sword there. It's because it's selected. Alright. I'm gonna tidy this up now. I'm going to start on my heads because they're processes that I know and I'm happy with. I mean, this guy, I'm happy with a lot of his forms. They're not perfect, but they're good for now. I'm going to move away from Dynamesh. I'm going to come to ZRemesher. Now, it's 400,000 points here. I'm going to give this a try. It probably won't keep it the same. I'm going to keep creases, detect edges, and hit ZRemesh. That's going to have a wee little think about things. Once again, celebrating my our current government with my cup. Oh, that's tidy. I'm happy with that. I've not lost too much detail. What that has done, it's given me much cleaner topology. And now I'm going to move away from Dynameshing because I'm not doing big aggressive moves anymore. I'm going to hit divide. That's brought me up to 1.3 million polys for this guy. And I'm going to hit divide again. Now 4 might be too much, but we'll see how it takes a texture. I'm going to load in some alphas. Now I pick up most of my alphas from ArtStation. Work. No. Where have I put the thing? Oh, that's not cool. I'm gonna jump into a download screen for a second, guys. Bear with me. So re-up my downloads from ArtStation. I'm going to use this opportunity to eat a bit more food as well. Let's do that over here. Right, let's jump into my library. Where are all my screens? Maybe I'll have to look somewhere else. I must have got those from somewhere else. Always keep shit safe to drive, guys. I've got some nice brushes as well now. 'Right, I've got my cloth felts brush, so we'll jump onto that for a minute. Oh, my alphas are done. Not quite. %, 40%, 60%. Nearly done. Excellent. So I'm going to import a bunch of skin textures that I've downloaded, not from ArtStation as it transpires.
quite a lot here. Just going to grab them all. And we'll start with that one. So, I should have the right brush on. Let's fix that. Let's see. No, I don't want that guy yet. I want to start off with a big fat wrinkle. And what I can do now that I've upped the topology on this, I mean, that's far too aggressive. I mean, we can get real detailed real quick. My first pass here is going to be quite a soft one. And what I'm using these for is to re-emphasize some forms. So I'll drop it in like this kind of direction first of all. Brush is a little big. And this kind of first pass is like a little, what have I got? Yeah. It's a little blanket approach. What I think is important with this stuff is when you're using alphas like this, making sure that, I mean, it's the same as using texture stamps. You're using them to follow the kind of lines in your mesh. I can soften some of this out. I'll try something slightly different here. I feel like I'm getting a little bit too much kind of middling noise. I want something a bit more aggressive for this pass, a little less. I mean, alphas are great for kind of shortcutting through a lot of this stuff, and it kind of puts me back into that kind of effort reward mode. This is the sweet spot. Minimal effort, lots of reward. Might be a bit softer there, I think. I'm going to drop my intensity somewhat. This is a really nice texture. And you can see just by building up these textures, we can get a lot of ground covered. And this isn't a solution to everything. I'm going to have to come back in and kind of make another pass on this with my actual sculpting head turned on. But it's a great way of just getting a bunch of good sort of tertiary form in place.
turn the intensity up for this pass. None of this at the back really matters. It's probably too aggressive for in the ears. Let's grab something a little softer. Maybe not that. So just got my eyelids and nose really on this pass. Let's find some nice pores. It feels quite nice. Now I'm still very new to kind of using alphas and deploying them, but they feel very much like texture stamps. Except that you can build over sort of previous passes, and they are instantly resizable. Let's get some. Right, time to grab my. I'm just going to switch this up to a sharper alpha, because what I want to be doing here now is kind of coming in and redrawing some of these moves. That was too sharp. I need to fix this guy's nose as well, he's barely got one. Should have spotted that before I did all my little texture moves, but we'll get away with it. Right, that's damn standard brush. Oh, the brush is too sharp. Hello, Alpha. Feels a little nicer. A lot of this feels gross at first because you're putting these quite aggressive lines into something that was, you'd kind of escaped that, you'd softened everything out. I think once you start to kind of cross over and do this sort of a move, it all gets a little softer. And here's what I'm now using a Don Lanning trick, is the power of the X, brother. We're just doing little X's here. I'm just passing these things over each other. I'm going to re-up this a little. Maybe not that aggressively. Maybe not that gently. Let's find that Goldilocks song, shall we? A bit more of my brew. I've definitely stopped talking today. Ooh, down to 2. That's a sad time. Well, I think it's fair to say I won't be supplementing my income with ZBrush just yet. So here's the great thing about having the let's tweak that focal shift down to about here, I think. That was the wrong way, I think, for a focal shift to go. Got a little left here. It's strange wanting to balance between wanting a sharp tool here and something that's a bit harder, a bit softer and more kind of floaty. Again, I'm still getting my head around alphas and how best to deploy them, but I mean it feels a bit nicer, a little bit more control there. Feels gross. I need to really put some effort into these eyes. I'm really not enjoying where they're going here. but I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to walk away for a little while. I think do some bigger moves. Get some of this texture tied in together. You can see the sort of texture stamps that I've deployed, the alphas, are just giving me something to play with. Let's get some nice wrinkles under here. That's not bad. I think we've only been on this little bit for half an hour now. I'm feeling pretty stoked about this. I need to better identify those eye bags. Some of my sort of movements over here are a little wild. I didn't move away from the eyes for long. There was enough time to just give me a little rest. I'm going to skirt the problem, I think. I mean, it's not even that much of a problem because of the scale we're going to be working in here, but too much. Just going to pop a little banner up for a second. I think I'd turn the audio down then. If not, you just heard me chatting to my wife for a second. Yeah, I mean, he feels much tighter now. I think I still want to hang out with this guy some more. He's not there yet for me. There's some craziness going on around there. Crazy geometry going on. Here's what's kind of cool. I can drop my subdivision levels and actually add in form, and some of the time we get to keep some of that information that we've dropped up on top. So ramp that back up. Yep, still got my lovely texture. I mean, I've lost all that, but so if I wanted to kind of add a little bit more weight here, re-emphasize some of this back up there, still got all that lovely detail. This is another massive boon with digital sculpture. I can change my form and my texture still remains. think what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to add a little bit of noise to this and just see how I feel. That's good. Yeah, I mean, that feels okay. Let's do a render. Yeah, he's great. Yeah, I think I've got on. Maybe we can get a little bit more back here, but let's leave that business on for a minute. I'm not sure about that noise. So let's go and check it out. Surface, edit. Let me see. Can I do a little thing? I need to remember which one it is. It's never going to happen. Switch my material there because I realised that I'm not in basic anymore. I do like being a basic bitch. Yeah, I think his nasolabial folds are too aggressive. So I'm going to hack into those a little bit and see if I can get them to soften out some. Not that aggressively on that. That first move I did was gross, it made me so sad. That's me trying to flog a dead horse. I made a very aggressive move here and I didn't enjoy it. Alright, let's move on to this guy's teeth. What I tend to do with my teeth now is I will make these into like a gum receptacle. I don't just make lots and lots of teeth and just jam them in. I don't need to do that. That's far too much for what I'm doing here. I'm actually just going to come in with my sculpting tool here and just start turning shit off again because there's too much stuff. Let's get another Dynamesh on here. Nope. Resolution's cranked up way more than that. I think they can be the extra teeth. Small teeth are creepy. I think everybody kind of gets that. I'll fix at the back of those in a little while. I can get some slightly bigger teeth back here. I just want to map these in whilst they're kind of in the aspect of kind of being in this thing's mouth. And then I can, let's do a Dynamesh on that guy as well. No. Also not enough. Small teeth are just way creepier. I feel like goblins would have small teeth as well. And get slightly wider towards the back, and then I can turn this head off and jump onto teeth. That's going to get worked out anyway, so I'll do this. Feels okay. Teeth and things. Oh no, so what's that? Yeah, this is one of the nice things about kind of chucking in placeholders early. You can kind of get this work done, get everything mapped out until it feels kind of where you want it to be. I feel like there should be one. But I'm going to draw them in. I'm going to really loosely kind of map these things out. You can see I'm still super low resolution on this. Is the image still turned on? It is. Bye, Leon. Lovely chatting to you, mate. I think that might be it. I think that might be me just sculpting on my own. No, there's still a couple of you here with it turned on in the background while you do something else. And I'm alright with that. Let's give him some little teeths. Smooth strong is way too intense for what I'm trying to do here. Just crushing out all the work that I've just done. But you can see very quickly we're into something that kind of resembles teeths. Quick Dynamesh on that. I want more resolution here, I've decided, so we're still in Dynamesh mode, so we're just gonna keep kind of pushing away at that. It needs to feel like little spiky teeth, and this tooth is wild. I don't know what it's doing. Maybe that is two teeth back there. I'm just going to pop the heats back on, just so. I mean, that feels nice now. Big difference, isn't it? I've barely even done any refining on this. Just chucked some forms in. I'll grab my H polish. So normally I'd probably take the time to sort of sculpt separate teeth, but I think for the purposes of this, this is absolutely fine. All of these to kind of step in a little bit, so like they're kind of, it's not right like that. It's not like that. That's, yep, I think that's plenty of detail there. Let's turn that head off, bottom. Same moves again across the bottom. I actually want the top teeth turned on here just for a second because I want to pull these out to be a little bit more fangy, so that those guys kind of interact with each other. I always hate it when people make stuff and the teeth don't go together properly. Just have a look at it in relation to one another. Things will work out just fine. It'll work out just fine. That's why I was super mad about all the Lord of the Rings people being aggro. It feels like the internet is so aggy these days, and so many sections of it are just there to cater to people who are being aggy. Like, everybody's bitching and moaning about Lord of the Rings. Well, not everybody, but like everyone on the internet showed me. It's fucking great. It's lovely to see some more Lord of the Rings and such. I mean, I love the movies. I think the books are incredibly difficult. They aren't. I'm probably going to get the whole of the internet slating me for this, but they aren't the easiest to read. I don't think the story is exceptionally well written. The world building is incredible, and the kind of overarching sort of story is great. But yeah, it's hard work, Lord of the Rings. Hey, Anna. Yeah, you made it, and I mean just in time. 6 minutes to go. This is where we're up to so far. We're doing a little gobbo. Oh, we're actually doing 3 goblins in a trench coat. They're the other guys, and the trench coat is on its way. I'm just working on some teeth for a second, and then I'm going to do a little pop out and a review of kind of where I've made it to today. Today has very much been a second day of sculpting. It's been difficult. My brain has been fighting against me every single second of this little path. And some days it's like that. How is being a super scientist treating you, Anna? Do you have the brain fight also? Much obliged. Thank you very much. We were talking earlier about kind of even when things are shit and you're a maker or an artist, you know, I can't really complain. You know, even if I'm having a really shit time, I'm still sculpting a stupid goblin, and you know, if it brings me or somebody else a little bit of joy, then I mean, it's kind of worth me getting my ass kicked for, and it will bring me joy eventually. Oh, theses. Yeah, that doesn't sound fun at all. But is it bringing you joy? That's the thing. I mean, your motivations are probably much more altruistic. You know, can you fix the world? Can you make it? Mine are, limited to making people smile. Let's do a little I mean, I'm not going to hang around for too long on these because it's just, I mean, it's such a tiny element of the sculpture. And these are designed to be printed. Do you know something we don't? Is that a reference to what's going on in Russia? Is it? It's all going to be done. January we can relax because the nukes are coming. Let's just pop all the bits and pieces on here and have a little bit of a sit back and a review of where we've gotten to today. This has been a blast. I mean, I mean, compared to the difference between the start of last week and the end of last week, where we went from nothing to pretty much this. But we've cleaned up these guys. We've got 3 distinct little gobos in here now, and I'm especially happy with the psychopath at the bottom with his little knife getting ready to stab out. We did some hard surface modelling at the start, which was an absolute car crash. And then this guy up here, he's been retopologized, textured, and now I've tidied his teeth up. That's probably a first pass on the teeth. I will want to do another one, and I'll come in and I'll retopologize that then. So, I mean, I'm going to carry on. There's no reason for me to stop. My children are all out picking pumpkins in the rain. I'm actually pretty glad I managed to swerve that one. Thanks, Anna. I mean, I said earlier, what's gonna happen? This eventually will be a little 3D printable statue / I mean, you can scale it down to mini level. I love D&D, and this is a classic D&D trope for me. But I'm going to be making them all available somewhere. So when they're finished, I will stick them on the internets, and people can just download them and have them. Again, part of being a maker is wanting to see people love the shit that you do. And if someone can, print this off and paint it and have a really fun time doing it, or use it in a D&D game to surprise their mates, that's the dream. So, top guy, the leader. I mean, I've started to develop these guys having little personalities. This guy's definitely the brains, or at least the mouth. We've got the strong psycho stabby boy in the middle, and I think this guy's just he just comes across as being a little bit soft. Isn't he? He's like, brr. Right, let's go. What to jump into next? Jump back into that head and just chuck a bit of colour on him because I want him to feel goblin-y. Normal selected teeth. Not this one, not this one, it's this one. No, he should stay in that colour. Good. Enjoy your thesis writing and the potential stress relief that comes with it all being done. And I'll probably see you next week. I just saw a little move then, and I wanted to jump in and kind of dive on it. It feels like the little dog. Curly lip thing that happens with dogs sometimes. I'm gonna try and let's bang my geometry subdivision layers down a little bit so I can be a little more effective here. I can just work in some little. And we'll crank that back up. Yeah, that feels nice. But it's not translated at all well. It just looks like I'm shit at sculpting the corners of those now. which, I mean, very much up for debate. Yep, fucking hated everything I did then. Every single little thing. Hey kids, don't worry if you feel shit, because, I mean, I do constantly. Alright, let's jump onto this guy for a bit. I feel like I'm in that kind of a place. Let's turn all this noise off for the time being so we can just concentrate on him. When you're sculpting goblins, it's really important to give them your undivided attention. They're very needy, jealous creatures. Let's pin you as the middle of my center of my world, young man. We'll do some big moves here to start off with, because I wasn't really super stoked with his head shape. That's aggressive auto-saving progress. Let me see here. Let's color this in. I'm not sure whether I want this guy. Let's pop the coat back on and see what to do about this guy. I kind of feel like I want his ears to be more involved. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just those bits coming out. But that's ridiculous now, isn't it? Oh, but that's not. I think that could work for us. Well, there's going to be a lot of noise here that I need to tidy up. Let's turn the jacket back off. I'm not worried about any of that. Just do a quick Dynamesh on it, actually. That's fixed it. Oh, I love Dynamesh. Dynamesh is so good. Dynamesh. I might have to make up a song for Dynamesh because it's just hot. This guy's got some weird ear shit going on. We've definitely got some work to do on this guy. I love this. This is definitely my favorite goblin out of the three. I mean, they're all kind of great. They all have their qualities, but this guy, I genuinely have strong. I mean, platonic, but strong feelings for. Right, let's grab me one of those nice wrinkles, and we'll start to dive into some of them. This one has been a favorite in the past. So here we go. I'm going to geometrize this, coming into ZBrush. I'm going to keep creases, detect edges. We're at 400,000. Let's see what it does. Big old stretch time. Oh. Gonna eat some of my giant body teeth on that other thing. Wow. Well, I don't think that's enough. It might be, you know. Let's not take any chances. Look at that. Now we should be able to project that on. There we go, it's clawed some of it back. We got slightly nicer geometry as well. So, let's start playing around here. This is the fun bit. I might make another division there. It only dropped it. That's why I was being silly. Let's go back again. Find out why that. 216,000. Back again, back again, back again. Here's where I'm at. 40,000. I've got my detail pack grabbed. Better. $4 million. Let this do its thing, and we should be back up to a nice neat mesh, but with all that lovely detail information. Yeah, lovely. Time to start. This needs to be set up. Not a fan of this one. Can't seem to position it very well. Really not a fan of that. Let's grab something a little scratchier now. Just building up skin texture here. And it very much feels like cheating, but I'm kind of equating it to being like a texture stamp in real life. Yeah. I'm going to come in and I'm going to tidy up a lot of these forms. We've got some wild geometry happening as well. I'm going to pop myself down a couple of subdivision layers and try and tidy that up. Let's have my stroke lazy radius up a little bit there. Absolutely tidier. So we're building up a nice amount of kind of movement on here. Oh, I think 5 hours is a little long to be going. I am getting real sore, but I'm really into this. Let's turn that back up and see where we're at. I'm going to soften some of that right before I do actually. I need to get a lot more across that neck actually. I mean, hardly any of this is going to be even slightly visible when we print this out, but that's kind of not the point. Let's turn that down a smidge, turn the intensity up loads, go for some really big blendy type forms. Drop the intensity as we get around the head. That's giving me a lot of big soft forms, big soft wrinkles. Am I talking to actually myself right now? Yeah, just me. just going to carry on going. Because I'm having a blast. I'm having a blast. Super enjoying myself. I love dropping in textures like this because you just get so much value from it. Oh, I want to give these guys a mustache though. I don't think goblins have facial hair though. Switch up to something like you. That's what I want over here. Just a nice build up. It's going to be wild in the middle. This guy's feeling relatively on the way now. I want to sort his lips out. I found a lovely little pass for lips earlier. I need to just put my favourites in a little pile. I think it might be this one. As if I don't start directly in the middle. That's a good lip. I like this one anyway. Again, it's way more detailed than I'll ever need on this, but in fact, let's finish off my texture pass by dropping some poles down. And then let's grab a clay build up. I think we need to really go at this. Not clay build up. Silly boy. Silly boy. Where's my damn standard? My damn standard is my boy. Too aggressive there, I think. My little Don Lanning's Power of the X coming into play here. Just lots of little passes over. And I'm not great at applying alphas, but I think the key here is to treat them like a texture stamp in real life and just make sure that you don't rely on the texture stamp for all of your information. This is horrible under here. I'm gonna have to fix some of this. So I'm just using that texture stamp as a guide. It's a way to throw in some info that kind of generating detail rather than having to work for every single square inch of it. That was all horrible. I didn't enjoy a single move there. This is not pleasant over here, so I'm going to see if I can clean this up some. Slightly nicer. So this all feels a little like I'm tired now. But he's got some texture on him. I'm alright with that. We'll give him a little green as well. Colour. Object. I'll go back to my we can tweak that jacket around him to do a little render of that and see how things feel.
I'll go back. I'm calling it. I'm a right boy. Those of you that watched, thanks for watching. Those of you that are watching it again, I mean, go you, good for you. Bye.